Terraria challenge runs. You know them, you love them, maybe. I always see a bunch of challenge runs on YouTube, and I thought I'd throw my hat into the ring. But rather than doing something you'd normally see, I choose my own style of challenge run. Crafting is like the most important feature in Terraria. It's your main way of obtaining new gear and experiencing the whole game. So I'm not doing it. And without further delay, let's see how I beat Terraria without crafting a single item. Just kidding, I lied. What? If you want to see more challenge runs like this from me, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing. I put a ton of work into this video, so support would be greatly appreciated. Okay, now we can start the run. This run starts out like any other Terraria run. Wait, no it doesn't. I head straight to the underground ice biome to try and get something like the ice blade, or any movement accessory. Obviously this doesn't go as planned, but now would be a good time to talk about one of the trickiest parts of this run. Housing. Terraria's housing system is incredibly simple, but it has a few requirements. These requirements wouldn't be a problem. That is, if you were a normal person. Obviously, there's blocks and torches, but they're easy to come by, so those aren't an issue. Then there's doors, which can be gotten from underground cabins, so a little uncommon, but not too terrible. I can also use platforms as a substitute. Same thing with background walls, but those are a bit trickier since I don't have a hammer, but I can use bombs to get past this issue for now. And then there's tables and chairs, which yes, can also be found in cabins and the such, but they're much less common, so housing in general is not going to be easy to get. Good thing that NPCs are one of the main ways I get my gear. Woohoo. I stumble around for a bit at night, then I just wait until morning, then go back underground. Not much happens outside of a few deaths, but I do find a nymph, who should get a medal for their level of patience. Because if I were them, I personally wouldn't like to get stabbed by a copper short sword for like 20 minutes. But that's just me. Then I get my one and only blood moon of this run. No, that's not a joke. Once I wait through that, I head to the jungle to test my luck there. Ideally, I get the boomstick, but this is a YouTube video, so we can already guess if I get it or not. After very totally getting a boomstick, trust me guys, I use my gravitation potions to find the floating islands, where all of the items I can get would be useful. Oh yeah, the celestial magnet's here now. Okay, most of the items. After getting just a balloon and a magnet, I fall into the corruption, where I can break the shadow orbs to finally get my first functional weapon outside of a blowpipe, the musket. This would be great if I didn't only have 100 uses of it right now, so I still wouldn't really be able to use it. But this is still a good thing. Having no luck getting a ball of hurt, and seeing that the Eater of Worlds really wasn't happy with me. Yeah, I don't know what happened here. I build some houses using loot from Sky Islands, get the merchant, and get my first, and I use this very loosely, usable weapon. The sickle. This thing's really bad. I try again to delve into the jungle, return boomstickless, and then, through using a random teleportation potion, I find the enchanted sword. So finally, after like an hour and a half, I can finally fight enemies in a reasonable amount of time. It can only go up from here, right? Right? I use more gravitation potions, get the horseshoe and star fury, build more houses, and then go caving to get Hermes boots. Which I actually get. And with all this gear, finally the run truly begins. What do you mean it's been 2.5 hours? Heading back to the jungle, and believe it or not, actually getting the boomstick, it's finally time to start the first big grind of the run. You may have been wondering, what's this dumb idiot loser gonna do about armor in the early game? First of all, rude. But second of all, there's a reason I chose specifically the Corruption. Eater of Souls have a 0.2% chance to drop a piece of an armor set called the Ancient Shadow Armor, which is actually an old design of the Shadow Armor. This has the same stats as Shadow Armor, which makes it a worthwhile set in any sort of run, and I usually go for it. And I'm so glad that this time is the first time it took forever to get. After 20 minutes of nothing, the Goblin Army spawned, so I went and did that because it was more stimulating or something. Hey look, Subway Surfers. After dealing with that, I continue farming and get the helmet on the exact 100th Eater kill. Which, yeah, that's pretty lucky. And not too much later, I get the Greaves. Hey, this doesn't seem so bad. Half an hour later, the Eye of Cthulhu spawns naturally. But even without a full set of armor, I have enough gear to where this fight goes pretty well. After 2 more hours, and a slime rain I don't care to show, I finally get the chest plate. Ever again. I then go immediately to fight Skeletron, and for the record, these platforms are team platforms, which you can buy from the Traveling Merchant. That happened at some point during that, but I'm not watching 2 hours of Eater farming to get the footage you won't even care about. Anyways, John Bone goes down pretty easily, and I now have access to the dungeon, which has the best upgrade in this entire run yet. Easy access to tables and chairs. Then a 3-hour time skip happens because it's all boring prep for the next big task. Just know I made houses, reforged accessories, and opened shadow chests, that kind of stuff. Alright, Wall of Flesh. What a guy, am I right? This prep includes all of the lost footage that doesn't matter, and building a hell bridge, which somehow was more painful than fighting the boss. Thank you, Underworld spawnerates. Now for the fight itself. For once in a Terraria challenge run, he was super easy. Either because I prepared too much, or because of the king of all Wall of Flesh weapons that I feel like no one ever talks about. Move over, B-Nades. It's the Hellwing Bow's time to shine. This weapon comes from shadow chests. It's super inaccurate, but if you use wooden arrows with it, they turn into infinitely piercing flaming bats. This actually makes the inaccuracy a bonus with the Wall of Flesh, because it makes dealing with the Hungries basically a non-issue. Just a little bit of laser dodging, and then welcome to hard mode. The first thing I do when I get into hard mode is start working on a pylon network. Yeah, I know I should have started that earlier. Since I can't get better movement accessories, being able to teleport is going to save so much time in this run. I set up a pylon in the desert, jungle, ocean, cavern, and mushroom biomes. I then head to the underground hallowed biome to find gelatin crystals. These are the summoning item for Queen Slime, a very important boss in this run. Normally, her drops aren't super amazing, outside of the gelatinous pillion, but similar to King Slime, she drops an armor set, the Crystal Assassin Armor. This is the only armor set you can get without crafting in hard mode until after playing Terra. So yeah, it's a much desired upgrade. After a little bit of money farming, I reforge all my accessories into warding, since I'm gonna need the defense. Shout out to Auto Reforge mod, by the way. Now it's time for Queen Slime. And, you know what? I'm just gonna go, I'm not gonna write a script for this part. I hate Queen Slime. It is easily the worst boss fight in all of vanilla Terraria. What were they thinking? There's so many projectiles, so many enemies, so many projectiles from the enemies, they all do so much damage. There's so much going on in that fight, and it's so early on in hard mode that you're not really gonna have wings yet. Not to mention I can't make wings in this challenge, but it's there's so much going on, you can't avoid anything, it does so much damage, you don't have good weapons in hard mode yet, I don't like the boss. But yeah, as you can guess, it didn't go too well. I died very badly. After that embarrassment of a fight, I go to the ice biome and get unironically the best item in this entire run. The Lilith's Necklace, which is dropped by wolves, is the one and only mount, as of now, that turns you into something else. This being a wolf, obviously. This is such a good upgrade because it gives you a permanent, insanely good movement speed buff without boots, as well as insane jump height. The only downside is that you can't use wings with it, which, isn't a problem here if you haven't figured that out yet. So congrats to all the weirdos out there. This is hopefully the closest you'll get to me making a Terraria furry roleplay playthrough. Why did I say that? Cutting out multiple hours of me just doing fishing quests. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a fishing-themed playthrough. I become the luckiest person in the world and get an Unreal Uzi on my second Ingray Trapper kill, which is actually a 1 in 80,000 chance to drop, even without the Reforge. I then go to fight the Queen Slime again, and to my surprise, actually win. This was such an important moment in the run, because if I couldn't beat this boss, I would have been fairly confident that I just couldn't complete the challenge. Oh yeah, I should mention that I had no idea if I was even able to finish this run when I started. I just did it because I felt like it. Also, if you've watched this far into the video, clearly you're enjoying yourself. If so, I'm glad. But I'd also like to remind you that if you haven't already, please leave a like on this video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like these in the future. I've never made a video this long and in-depth with script writing and recording, so I'd greatly appreciate it if I could see visible feedback that it's worth the effort. Shameless plug aside, I then go to get the final piece of the Crystal Assassin Armor. Then I go to fight the Destroyer. Yeah, that hurts. To cheer myself up, I go fish in the Corruption to get my personal favorite underrated weapon, the Toxicarp. It's a super fast and pretty strong ranged weapon that doesn't need any ammo, and it was even buffed recently. I 100% recommend you try out this weapon, it's really fun and really good. And here begins the worst grind in the run. Farming for the mechanical boss summon items. After having no luck for like 2 hours, I finally start to make a mob farm, which I would like to mention is terrible to make without a good pickaxe. I've been dealing with a candy cane pickaxe for this entire run, basically. But I hear you ask, how are you gonna get the lava for the farm? You can't make buckets! And this is where I bring up a very strange mechanic. For some reason, in hard mode, you're able to mine hellstone with bombs. And hellstone notoriously drops lava when mined. So all I need to do is place some hellstone above the farm and... Yeah, it turns out it only drops lava in the underworld. Don't I feel like an idiot now? Anyways, I got lava from a pool nearby, and here's when I stopped recording everything I did in the run. I go on to take my revenge on the Destroyer, annihilate the twins, and then forget that time is a thing in Terraria and somehow make the biggest mistake in the entire run. And here comes a like 3-hour time skip of exclusively farming for the Mechanical Skull, which then leads to the most cathartic boss win I think I'll ever have in Terraria. If you didn't know, 1.4.4 made it so after you beat the third mechanical boss, a Plantera bulb immediately spawns. So this leads to me immediately heading to the jungle to find it and start making an arena. And here I would like to remind you that I still have a candy cane pickaxe. This leads into the biggest wall in the run. Plantera was... well, honestly, it was the first boss to actually pose a challenge in the run. Not having good movement or gear really starts to show itself here. Plantera hurts. To save myself hours of waiting, I turned off the world autosaving and force closed the game whenever I lost. After Prime, I think I deserve this at least. And if you think that's a bit cheap, it was only the world that didn't save. Any potions and resources I used during each attempt still got used up, so there was still a downside to losing. This went on for a while. I died quite a bit, and ended up making a funny tweet that kind of blew up. Follow me on Twitter. But after a good few attempts, and greatly expanding the arena I made, I finally beat it. Now that Plantera's down, I immediately pivot to a summoner build, because it has a lot of powerful weapons you can get without crafting. It also has the Tiki armor, which is the third and final armor set for this run. You probably also noticed that I have a Rod of Discord now. Yeah, there was a lot of time that passed during Plantera Hour. I head to the dungeon to get the Morning Star, a super powerful whip, and then fight Duke Fishron. He has some of the best endgame gear in the entire game, so it's a no-brainer that I'd go for it. And with post-Plantera summoner gear, he wasn't too much trouble. Let's just ignore the multiple failed attempts I had before Plantera, since I was struggling so much. The next boss on the list is Golem, who, as we all know, is really easy. I then fight the Martian Madness to get the Cosmic Car Key, which has infinite flight and decent mobility. This would allow me to replace my movement accessories for more damage ones. Yeah, I know, I have the cute Fishron mount, but I honestly prefer the Car Key. The Fishron has better movement and gives a damage buff, but only when it's raining and when you're at low health. And I don't want to have to rely on a situational mount, especially with my gear. It took a while to drop, so in between invasions, I decided to fight the Empress of Light, who's looking kinda handsome. Luckily, it was raining during the fight, so I was able to get the buffs from the Fishron mount. And I was able to beat Empress without too much trouble. Unfortunately, I didn't get the Kaleidoscope, which is why I was fighting it. Kaleidoscope is the best whip in the game, and it would have been a very nice upgrade. After getting that, I keep farming for the UFO mount. Glad I'm done with that boss. She's a scary one. After no luck in the second invasion, and an unfortunately timed solar eclipse, I finally get the mount. Now the endgame begins. I fight the lunatic cultist, and it goes down without too much trouble. The pillars are, well, they're the pillars. And then the first attempt at Moonlord goes swimmingly. Because of that, I decide that it's time to get the final upgrade of the run. The Terra Prisma. The Terra Prisma is the best summon item in the game, and it's gotten from the Empress of Light, but only when it's fought in its entirety during the daytime. Empress of Light during the day is a whole different beast, being able to instantly kill you with a single hit. And as of recently, you can't use dodge items against her. You can imagine that this was a fun grind. You know, Daytime Empress of Light is actually kinda easy, but only if you're me, and you're just good at the game. I go through the Moonlord attempt song and dance a few times, and then we get to this fight. So, yeah, I very much so tried to cheese the Moonlord. But in my defense, I think the whole running out of money and having to lock in only to just barely beat him makes for much better content. Looking back, I totally could have used the Fishron mount, but whatever. But yeah, that's how I beat Terraria without crafting a single item. This was an insanely tedious, but super fun challenge to do. I really enjoy testing the limits of my skills with this game, so if you want to see more of these types of challenges from me, please let me know by leaving a comment and maybe even suggesting different challenges you want to see me do. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content from me. As I said in the beginning, I spent a lot of time in this video. I've never wrote a script nearly this long, so I genuinely hope you all enjoyed the video. As always, thank you to my channel members for your continued support, as it means the world. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.